Now, I'm going to do something that I haven't done for a little while now, and as I just got off a live stream, it really got me thinking. There are three massive problems that I keep seeing people fall prey to, and I want you to avoid these mistakes. The first one is eating improper calories. Then there's actually overtraining, and then it's actually copying and following the wrong diet. And I'm going to walk you through right now how to avoid these three, actually what to do about it, so you have a meal plan, a diet that you could follow that is going to actually stimulate fat loss, get you burning off body fat, get you burning off that stubborn body fat, and getting you into the ultimate physique that you really want. Because there's no doubt about it, it can be confusing and frustrating from trying to follow all the different opinions, all the conflicting ideas when it comes to you being able to get to those low depths of body fat. And if you want to get into that really great shape, or even step into a photo shoot, or compete as a physique, bikini, fitness model, then you need a plan that is going to suit you and give you those optimal results. As the truth is, I did it for years and years. I was on low calorie, low carb diet, staying strict with my training plan, and being completely confused and frustrated at the end of each week, not being lighter, not being leaner, and not knowing what to do. And it was because I was actually falling prey to all three of these mistakes, not just one, I was doing all three of them. So that's why I want to walk you through right now what it is that you need to be doing so you can get into that peak physique that you want. Now, the first big problem is eating improper calories, but even before we go through that, let's take one step back, because what so many people fall prey to is jumping onto a calorie calculator, figuring out how many magical calories they should be eating, or even their macronutrients should be, and they're gaining weight. Because what happens is we need to actually find out what is going on with your body right now. Where is your metabolism at? And then from there we can start making the right steps so we can start fast tracking. Because so many people jump onto a calorie calculator, they input their height, their sex, their weight, how many times they're training, then suddenly this magical number appears, and then it can even break down into their macronutrients. They start to follow this plan, and look, this is because I used to do this as well. You follow this plan and then suddenly you're gaining body fat, you're not gaining muscle, and you're not getting into the shape that you want. This is just coming down to you not having a plan, taking you that one step that you need from where you actually are. So that's by taking a 3-day food log, we can figure out what is your actual food intake right now. Let's figure out what your body has actually adapted to, so then we know what the best next steps are. Now, then this really goes into the calories and the hormones debate. On one hand, you've got people saying, all right, if you just burn more calories than you eat, you're going to be able to burn body fat. On the other side, you've got people saying, no, hormones are all that matter, and say, especially with insulin, if you just lower insulin, you're going to be able to burn body fat and avoid fat gain. So therefore, on one side, you've got the calories, which means people are just following a low calorie diet. On the other side, you've got the hormonal debate, and people are usually just dropping all their carbs out, and you've got problems with both of those. And what's going to be suited to you is how can we actually find the middle ground right now? How can we get you actually eating the right amount of foods, the right foods, having the right hormonal impact, so you're burning body fat, building the muscle that you want, and getting into the shape that you want. And so then we can start talking about your macronutrients. Now, a general rule of thumb can be, right, let's start with your protein. Protein is of first importance with your macronutrients. So a way to calculate this is to get your weight in pounds and then actually multiply this by 1.5. And 1.5 is on that higher range as well. It can be between 1 to 1.5. But then what we can do is we go, fat is of next importance there. And we can say, right, 25% of your total energy intake can be made up of good quality fats. Then the rest of the energy intake that you do want can be made up of carbohydrates. But there's a huge problem with this. It doesn't take into your individuality. It doesn't take into account, are you good with carbohydrates? How much energy should you really be taking in? And how's this going to work for you as well? So it's a good starting base for many, but if you're frustrated because you follow the traditional diets, you've done the other things that haven't worked, then we need to be able to take other steps from here to be able to get you progressing. Now for sure, your nutrition is of very high importance when it comes to you being able to burn that body fat, get into the best shape possible, but your training and your nutrition have to tie together. So this is where the biggest mistake so many people are falling prey to when it comes to training is simply overtraining, doing too much and doing the wrong style of training together. So what we need to be able to do is find out what's the stimulus that's going to suit you to get you the results that you want. So firstly, what we need to do is just find out how much time can you invest in your training. From there, we can break that down into what's the style of training that you're going to be doing. So we start with metabolic resistance training, a range of different training styles that we can use that mainly comes under your weight training, your resistance training, because this is going to give your biggest bang for your buck. But from here, this is where we can actually manipulate your training split. And a big problem is following an old school style training split, such as legs one day, then you've got chest, then you've got back, and then you've got delts, and then you've got arms, and then you repeat around again. Now, a big issue with that is that you can be training with a much higher frequency. You can be training muscles at a high frequency to create more of a stimulus, to create a faster progress with how your body is actually changing. This is where you can be doing things such as training certain muscles that you want to focus on 3, even 4 times a week, and then having other muscle groups being focused on to still progress you along. Now, this comes to, if you're really serious about your physique, we need to be able to create the training plan that surrounds how do you want to change your body? What are you lacking right now? Do you have weak spots with your physique, and how do we bring up those weak spots? And this really ties in with the volume, the frequency, and the intensity of the training systems needed to be able to bring the physique that you want. Now, a common question that I get, and what you could be thinking right now is like, okay, this all sounds fantastic, Chris, but what about cardio? What should I be doing? Because again, we've got a pendulum that swings. On one side, you've got the high intensity interval training, and some people saying this is the be all and end all. On the other side, you've got people saying steady state cardio is where your fat burning is going to come from, especially say fasted walks, fasted cardio in the mornings. Now, the real truth is what is going to come back and suit you. Now, let me give you an example of someone starting their prep going into a comp. What happens is, because their energy intake is high, training is good, recovery is good, everything is quite optimal at the start, or well should be, is high intensity interval training works really well at this stage, simply because your energy intake is higher on an overall scale. As you start to progress down, what can happen is steady state cardio can be a better manipulation to play later on. So this is where the answer isn't a cookie cutter, do this, don't do this. It's where is your body at right now? Where is your metabolism and your recovery? And how can we use the right plan at the right time? This is where so many trainers and so many prep coaches are getting it slightly wrong, even though their heart is in the right place, is a bias is standing in the way. They're biased to one method over another. But what needs to happen is just a clean slate coming to you with giving you the right plan that's going to suit you. Now, this really comes into the third big mistake, that is just simply following the wrong diet plan. Now, let's say, for example, the difference between the diet you're going to be following and the diet that I'm going to be following for us to get leaner. We have different insulin sensitivity, our hormonal environments are different, our metabolisms are different, genetics is different, muscle mass, fat mass is different, our lifestyle schedules are different as well. All these things are coming into play into what's going to be the best plan for you to get the results that you want. And when someone has a certain bias towards one method over another, or whether someone's just regurgitating what's worked for them and not being able to open their eyes to having best know what's going to work for you, this is where so many of the sticking points can come to, with people getting frustrated not seeing a weekly progress. When we look at advanced diet methods such as intermittent fasting, is it actually going to be a protocol that's going to suit you? What about ketogenic? What about carb cycling? All these things that I know are really hot topics at the moment, people wanting to dive into, because one of the biggest problems that comes around is you've got people that are doing intermittent fasting and carb cycling, then doing ketogenic some days, and it just becomes an absolute whitewash of a mess, because it's a plan that really just needs to come down to what is going to give you the results. And this is why you can't use a cookie cutter plan. And I always laugh when someone asks, what style of training or method of program do you use? Because ultimately this question's really coming from the foundation that that person has worked with someone before and has been completely tied to a certain method, a certain program, a certain style of training or diet. And what really needs to happen with what we've covered is you need a plan that's going to suit you and your physiology, but also suit with you and your lifestyle. Now this comes into one of the most important points, and this is, yes, you could have a one-page training program, a one-page diet written up, but how long is that really going to last you? You need fine-tuning as your body goes along. We're always going to hit a fat loss plateau because our bodies are always going to adapt to what's going on. We're an adaptive organism. So when you do hit that fat loss plateau, when you are training, what are you going to do? Is it just a matter of fact of lowering your calories? Usually it's not. You can be a lot smarter, but what's going to get you into peak physique? And this isn't about just eating less, or even just ramping your training up. This is about making the right changes that are going to suit your physiology and your lifestyle. Because really, when coaching clients come on board the program, if you come on board the coaching program, I want you to fire me. This is why we work in 90-day blocks. I don't want you to be stuck as my client forever, because then I've actually done you an injustice. I haven't given you what's needed. I haven't helped teach you how your body is going to progress. So we work in 90-day blocks to find out, right, this is where you are right now. This is what you need to go, and let us work together in making sure that you get those results. And that's why the one-on-one programs are such a select few people that can come on board, because there's a lot of TLC that comes in it. Not just the unlimited email support, but it's the weekly check-ins that come in it. So we're always fine-tuning your training program, your total protocol, and your meal plans as well. And that's why when we sat down to create this coaching program, we wanted this to be the absolute best, to give you exactly what you needed. Because as well, I know from being a personal trainer for over 10 years around the world, it can become really pricey. And why we wanted to create this program for less than half the cost than you seeing your local and average personal trainer. You could go and see a trainer that's going to count your reps, and you're not going to get the proven experience, the programs, and the actual help needed to give you the peak physique that you want. So that's why we created this online coaching program that you can go and check out right now to make sure that it is the right fit. Because one, there is a very select few numbers that we do take on at once. And two, this is only for the people really serious about getting into great shape. You've got to have experience before, and we want to make sure that this is the right fit as well. So click the link below to be able to check everything out, make sure that it is right for you, and then you'll be able to book in your one-on-one call with me to initially make sure that this is the right thing for you, and then so I can personally start writing up and creating your first program and protocol as well. Now, I really want you to at least walk away from this episode understanding that you need to know where is your metabolism at right now, so that you are eating the right amount of foods and are eating the right foods as well, making sure your energy intake is where it needs to be, but also your hormonal response from those meals is where it needs to be as well. Secondly, is your training right? Are you actually having the right training stimulus? Are you not overtraining, especially because I know so many people that are really serious and committed to them getting into great shape are probably going to overtrain rather than undertrain as well. And then thirdly, making sure that you tailor the diet to what you need. Don't just copy a cookie cutter plan. Don't just copy someone else's plan and expect fantastic results. You are an individual, and yes, your mum was right, you are special and unique, and that means you need the training program, the diet, the entire protocol suited to you as well. So thank you so much for being here. I want you to be able to ask any questions for me to personally come in and answer for you below, and as always, I'll see you in the next episode. Now it's time for you to get the most out of this and comment below. This is where I will personally come in and give you the answers that you need. And as always, the best discussions happen over at mybodyblend.com. This is where I can give you all the guides, programs, and insights that I can't fit in these episodes. Plus the free diets and workouts are there waiting for you now. And if you did like this episode, then be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode and I can send them straight to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon here and in the My Body Blends Only community.